Welcome to Global Tax Talks Tax in 60 Seconds. I'm Will Morris, and here are some things to look out for in the coming week. When I worked at the US Treasury a very long time ago, we were encouraged to speak at a lot of conferences. We were told to be as forthcoming as possible, but to give away as little as possible, and certainly nothing not already in the public domain. Truthfulness was an imperative, but that didn't mean blurting out the whole truth. Observing some of the comments coming out of last week's International Fiscal Association Annual meeting in Lisbon, it seems that several of the government speakers still adhere to that hello tradition, but a few others slightly less so. Anyway, one official was in the first category, was a senior official from the UK Treasury, who expressed himself optimistic that countries will reach agreement on the Pillar 2 side-by-side agreement in the coming months, as they understand the political imperative to reach an agreement as soon as possible, and they're open to finding a pragmatic path forward. I think the three key words in all of that are open to finding, which is essentially future tense, as opposed to present tense, which would be are currently finding, or past tense, which would be have found. In the giving slightly more away category, perhaps more than intended, were officials from Brazil and Spain. The Brazilian Undersecretary for Tax and Litigation said that, in quotes, any accommodation should not be designed to give unfair competitive advantage to a group of multinational companies. The MNCs in question are obviously US, but again note the tense use in the phrase should not be designed. It rather sounds like there's still quite a lot to be done. And this seemed confirmed by a senior tax policy official from the Spanish Finance Ministry, who said that while most parts of the side-by-side safe harbor were well advanced, there was much discussion about how to design the integrity rules to guard against the misuse of the safe harbor, including via restructuring. So again, you see the big sticking points, which of course have always been the big sticking points, and the clock keeps on ticking. One last note on this. The businesses present at IFA complained that, once again, the voice of business had not been heard. This has always been a problem, often pointed out, but never really addressed. Unfortunately, as we do now know, you don't get rules that work with, so to speak, integrity without that voice. On another favorite subject, the interaction of trade and tax, there was some slightly ominous news last week regarding the EU-US trade deal. While President Trump's comments a few weeks ago on digital discrimination against US companies has cast a shadow on the deal, a second equally serious issue has now emerged directly in the deal negotiations. According to press reports, the US has asked the EU to exempt US business from the climate reporting rules, especially under the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive, or CSDDD. According to press reports, the US has labeled this, in quotes, serious and unwarranted regulatory overreach. But there is little enthusiasm in the EU for still further watering down these rules, especially in the European Parliament. And, as I said before, if the EU trade deal goes down, don't count on a side-by-side agreement. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and come back next week so that you stay global tax ready.